Afternoon, everybody. Just finished draining down this big mud pond. It's the biggest one I have. We took it down to about 6 inches because there was a fish in here that we couldn't find. I took it all the way down and I still can't find it, so I'm just gonna assume that one is lost either to health or a predator. It's the first big fish that I've lost in the mud pond, so it's a bit unfortunate, but these things happen. So as I'm filling this back up, a couple things I want to go over. Plans for next year, things I've learned, things I want to change and do differently. But this is probably going to take about 4 days in total to fill back up, even using the deep well. So yeah, that's going to be filled up around Friday. I've got a lot of cleaning to do around the edges during that time to make sure everything's back the way it was. Believe it or not, harvesting creates quite a mess. You're tracking mud in everywhere, and you're also, hitting the sides pretty hard. There's some areas you might have to level back out. Some sediment you might have to move around, just things like that. And of course, let me show you this. You see the feeding platform there, that has to be pounded back down. It's in pretty good shape, considering it was used all season and it didn't have to be adjusted last season. You just have to make sure that's secure when you start things over again. You walk down this way, but a couple things I learned. I can get some really good growth out of this pond. There were a couple that went in at 61 and they came out at 70 to 71. With just absolutely beautiful bodies on them. I'll be posting videos of those later. Not everything had good growth. Some fish take to the mud pond, some don't. Some are able to grow in the mud pond, some don't. Whether it's just shyness or they don't like to compete or they like sinking food over floating food. There's a host of different reasons. Sometimes it can just be if you got a big pond, they're not where the feeder is when it goes off, so they don't get the food. It's a big mud pond. This thing is like half an acre and 6 feet deep. Actually 6.5 in the deepest part. So you might have 2 minutes worth of food once the auto feeder goes, and if they're not there to get it, by the time they mosey on back, they might get a pellet or two, and that's it. Some are just shy. Some will bottom feed, and that's that. But you kind of have to focus on what's possible and what you're able to do. For the ones that did grow. Overall, I think we probably got about 6 centimeters growth on everything. Some were more than that. A lot of fish really bodied up. Some didn't. Some, their color went down. I think that's probably due to this being heavy clay and the clay particles getting suspended in the water column and not allowing the light to penetrate. So have to think a few things through next year to kind of counter that. But I've got a few ideas already. I'm already running a test or two to try to figure that one out. One other thing, this is I think the 3rd or 4th year. This is actually the 2nd year I've had this pond itself. If you look in the ones in the back, I've had those 4 years, the 2 back there, this one 3 years, and then this one 2 years. So we had a lot of turtles in the pond this year. I've got to figure something out to get them out and keep them out and relocate them, because they're just not good for the koi. They steal food. They'll take a nip at a koi. And it's not good, so I have to rethink that. But I think it's definitely something that's doable. I'm pretty happy overall with the results. Not everything went to plan, but that's kind of the risk you take with a mud pond sometimes. But it was a good harvest. We had the folks from the ZMA Tri-State over here helping. Had a hobbyist over from Maryland. He was helping as well. Had a few people bring their kids. They hopped in. That was really cool, and they were a big help. So big round of thanks for everyone that showed up from the club, and the kids as well. Thanks for all your help. You guys really, you know, you did a great job. It made it a lot easier to manage when you have more hands. So, like I said, this is going to take about 4 days to fill up. I have this gallon. I can't remember how many gallons of water this is, but it's a lot. And I'll be in here throughout the week doing various maintenance steps. I want to get the water level up to where you see the fabric at. It's all pinned down, and I don't want the wind to grab that and rip it off like a sail, because if that happens, then I can kiss away like a half day of work, you know, getting it back in there and secured again. So let's hope the winds don't start up until I get this at least up to a certain level. But, you know, I'd like to thank my friend Mike in Japan. He's definitely sent me some good fish. I'm really pleased with all the Matsue and Tamaura stuff that he sent me. The Matsue stuff just grew incredibly. I don't want to say I'm shocked, but I'm really surprised how well it grew. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having many more years good use out of this mud pond. And, you know, for all the folks that decided to leave their fish here and let them grow out in the mud pond, you know, thanks for your trust and support. I think we did a pretty good job. You know, everything's not always 100%, but again, that's, you know, it's kind of how it happens with mud ponds. But I've learned a few things, and there's a few things I'm going to change, and this is, you know, it's a constant learning and growing experience. So stay tuned for next year. I'm going to get the fish that I pulled out of the mud pond probably up on Facebook and up on the site or on YouTube pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. Talk to you guys later.